Welcome to Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Well, after 12 years, OpSail has returned to Virginia, and to capture the parade of sail, our cameras are set up in the best location in Hampton Roads, on the top floor of the beautiful Portsmouth Renaissance Hotel and Waterfronts Conference Center. The sights and sounds of OpSail, the latest fish concert, and much more are coming up on this episode of Portsmouth Now. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss a minute of the fun. Welcome back to Portsmouth Now. Have you ever felt adventurous? Ever daydreamed of being the captain of your own ship, but know that you're not cut out for one of the tall ships? Then might I suggest that you start with something smaller. Something much, much smaller. Like a kayak. They're small, they're easy to maneuver, they're nearly impossible to turn over. And if I can captain one of these things, believe me, anybody can. What better way to experience up close the wilderness around our rivers and waterways? And to have your own kayaking adventure, just head out to the wilds of Churchland. Yes, that Churchland, the Portsmouth suburbs. There, on Twin Pine Roads, you'll find Hoffler Creek Wildlife Foundation and Preserve. Open Tuesdays through Sundays, the preserve offers kayaking, trails, and family events and activities throughout the year. Randy Strutton is Executive Director of the Hoffler Creek Wildlife Foundation, and thanks for joining us today on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, I grew up in Churchland, just a few blocks away, back in the 70s and 80s. This was not here.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so where did this come from?
Well, the land was here, but it was not in its present form. This has come through the years from the Native Americans to the farmers. You may, if you're familiar with Churchland, you know the Churchland truckers. Well, unlike what some people think, the truckers were actually truck farmers, meaning they grew vegetables, not that they drove trucks. The vegetables were here before the trucks were here. So the Churchland truckers were originally truck farmers. This whole area was truck farming. So that's how the area got its name. Also, the family who used to own this land sold it. This parcel of their farm was sold to VDOT in 1970. VDOT then cleared the forest that was here and dug the borrow pit, which we call Lake Ballard, for the Ballard family who used to own the farm. So now we have a 35-acre borrow pit lake in the center of what is now the wildlife preserve. We have 142 acres. Most of it is wooded except for the lake and the creek that we have that winds around 2/3 of the property. So it's an ideal habitat. It's about the only natural area left in the city of Portsmouth, certainly the largest. And when the citizens around the neighborhood realized that this land was going to be developed, if somebody didn't stop that development, we stepped up and formed a foundation and got the people together to support it. And now we have what we think is a perfect place for people and wildlife.
Very special place. A truly special place. If you look at the children that you've been photographing, this is what it's really all about. Children need to have the opportunity to come out, find out what the outdoors is all about, what nature is, why you have to preserve it, to have it for another generation. It's people coming out to do things with their families so that there's a family time away from the television, I'm sorry, and all of the Game Boys and everything else. This is what a family should be able to experience, where nature is the centerpiece. It's just beautiful.
Okay, and some of the trails that you were telling me earlier that you're developing trails for a trail for kids.
Just for kids, that's right. We have a project called Kids in the Woods. And our project stems from the reality that children today are so tethered to electronic devices that many of them never go outside. Mm-hmm. If it's not television, it's some game or some friend they're texting, or, you know. So, as a consequence of that alienation from nature, children have developed a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. Among them, obesity and depression, ADHD, any number of I say problems. These are conditions that require treatment.
Yeah.
And instead of going to a doctor to treat these sort of things, parents could quite easily and cheaply bring them outside to play. Because children often are, with the gadgets they have, their attention span
well, the
is
thinking's
fractured.
been done, too.
Exactly. There's no creativity. There's no imagination involved. It's a matter of manipulating your thumbs. And they're very good at that. I mean, I give them thumb manipulation. They get an A. But when it comes to problem solving, how do you build a fort? Mm-hmm. with the materials that are around?
What is a fort?
What is it? Yeah. And how do you build one? And why would you build one?
Right.
These are the kinds of things that we want to open the world. These children need to experience the creative, imaginative world that comes so naturally when you're in the woods. Many of our activities are free because the basic philosophy that has always guided us is that everybody, no matter age, race, income, everybody should have an opportunity to connect to their natural roots.
Okay, so there's kayaking and some of the other activities you have. What? Critter walk?
Creek Critters Day, where we have a professor come out, pull up stuff from the creek, life from the creek, and invite people to learn about what lives under the water that we never see.
This is Jessica Thompson from Christopher Newport University, and she volunteers here at Hoffler Creek, and she's showing kids some snails. What is going on here, Jessica?
Well, so in the bucket we have marsh periwinkle, which is a type of snail that lives here in the marsh. Very abundant in the marsh, and of course have a good home here because they have so much salt marsh here for them to utilize. And the marsh periwinkle are just one example of the kinds of organisms that I try to show the kids when they come for Creek Critter Day. Mm-hmm. So we also have crabs and worms and fish and barnacles and sea anemones and pretty much everything that we can find down in the creek. And kids are always really surprised that there's this much living here. You know, they think all that's here is the fish.
Right. So, you guys, is this pretty cool? Enjoying this?
It? I think the fact that they're so intent on their snails pretty much speaks for itself.
That answers it, doesn't it? That's great. So what do you think about Hoffler Creek?
Oh, I love it here. I actually do research here as well. So I've done research here since the summer of 2008.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you've been a fixture here for quite a while.
Yeah. You know, someone at the university when I first got there just kind of mentioned to me that this place was out here and they thought it'd be a good place for me to check out. And Randy Strutton has just been so welcoming. She pretty much lets me do what I want here. And I actually study some of the fish that live in the creek. So it's a great place to be able to do research and to, of course, be able to show kids.
So what would you say to people throughout Hampton Roads about, what would you like them to know about Hoffler Creek?
Well, I definitely would like them to come visit and to donate when they come and visit. That's always helpful. But definitely, I mean, especially if you have kids, it's just a really, I bring my kids here and I think it's just important for them to know that places like this actually exist. Yeah. And if they have the chance to come and see it, because it's pretty rare in Hampton Roads to have this much space that, that the kids can just kind of walk around and see what's there and see the turtles and the birds and, lots of things for them to look at.
We have a berry tasting tour.
Yeah, I noticed that there are blackberries growing all along the banks around here.
Already starting to ripe. So In the first week in July, second week in July, we're going to have a blackberry tasting tour where we make homemade ice cream and use the blackberries as garnish. It's tasty.
That sounds really good.
We'll have a butterfly day where we have people come out and teach others about butterflies. We have a program about bees. We have a program about raptors, hawks, and eagles and owls and that sort of thing.
And so throughout the years, as the seasons change and the land,
the programs change as the seasons change.
So there's always something going on all year long.
All year long.
To find out more about upcoming events at Hoffler Creek, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com or www.hofflercreek.org. When we come back, we'll have a look at Coast Guard Day celebration, the fish concert, and much more. That's next on Portsmouth Now.
Hungry?
Yeah.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I took a trip to Elkart, Indiana today. Elkart's a place that has lost jobs faster than anywhere else in America. In 1 year, the unemployment rate went from 4.7% to 15.3%. Companies that have sustained this community for years are shedding jobs at an alarming speed. And the people who've lost them have no idea what to do or who to turn to. They can't pay their bills, and they've stopped spending money. And because they've stopped spending money, more businesses have been forced to lay off more workers. In fact, local TV stations have started running public service announcements that tell people where to find food banks, even as the food banks don't have enough to meet the demand.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Now. OpSail brings tall ships from all over the world here to Hampton Roads, and in a similar vein, the good folks over at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center work to bring works of art from all over here to Hampton Roads. Recently, curator Gail Paul and artist Peter Geiger went on a road trip, traveling up and down the East Coast, personally collecting works of art for their current show, The Beat Goes On. Here's Gail Paul to tell us about that trip and the show.
Currently at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center in Portsmouth, Virginia, we have The Beat Goes On, Self-Taught Artists and Their Visionary Art. This exhibit features 16 artists from all over the eastern seaboard. And the range of work is very colorful. We have paintings, drawings, mixed media, and sculptures by these artists. For this exhibition, a colleague of mine, Peter Geiger, and I went on the road to gather works. We flew first into Florida, rented a U-Haul truck, and as we headed north, we would pick up artists along the way. So we had actually 6 different stops to make as we traveled. Like I said, we started in Sanford, Florida. For our first day, really was involved with just traveling, getting all of our supplies together, and then going, at each stop we'd have to go in, wrap up the work, do the contracts, and then continue on. So on our next day, we went from Florida, Sanford, Florida, Hawkinsville, Georgia, and we spent the night in Atlanta, with another artist. So that day we actually made 2 stops. And the next day we had 2 more stops in Athens, Georgia. Actually, I'll take that back. We had 3 stops. Athens, Georgia, because I added another artist on the road. I kept seeing this one artist's work, and I really liked it. And so I met that artist, and he said, sure, I'll be in the show.
Who is that artist?
That is Harold Rittenberry Jr. And Harold does these amazing sculptures. Right now, he's not in the best of health, so he was doing paintings. And at that point, our van was starting to get kind of full, but we were able to fit in 2 of Howard's paintings. So that day we picked up from Peter Luce, Harold Rittenberry, and then went on to Sarah Rakes. house. We went to Sarah's. Sarah lives down this long road. We kind of went on this roundabout route, and she was off of the GPS chart. So I kind of put in an address that I knew was near, and the roads turned to dirt. And then all of a sudden, we got to her lane. She had told me that they had homesteaded their property. So there was a hill, and she had told me we'd had to forge a creek. So I think as I looked at this, I thought we better stop at the top of this hill and we'll walk in and maybe they can help us bring the work out. And we ran into these 3 people at the top of the hill, and I said, "Are you the rakes?" And they're like, "No, we're the tailors." They'd just come from a cabin, their ancestors' cabin was there, and they'd seen something big and black and furry, and it growled at them, and they took off, and that's where we ran into them. So all of a sudden we're thinking, okay, now we've got a bear to deal with. So, but luckily we made a lot of noise and nothing happened. We went to the bottom of the hill and forged the stream and got to Sarah's house and loaded up her work, and they had a truck. They hauled us to the top of the hill, and then we went on the road again. So, and the next day we had just one stop. We'd originally planned to stop in Atlanta. Unfortunately, one of the artists had passed away in the meantime, so we did not have that stop, but we went on to North Carolina, where we met Cher Schaefer. We rendezvoused at a freeway off-ramp and picked up her works. And then we still had one full day of travel before we got back to Portsmouth. So it became a 5-day adventure for us to get back here. The show is open now, and we have an artist reception this coming Friday, July 6th from 5 to 8. A lot of the artists will be here to join us. We'll have also the following Saturday. Several of those artists will be doing demonstrations. One of the artists, Ab the Flagman, is also a musician, so he'll have his guitar. Ms. Thine will be here, and she creates these cutouts, musical cutouts, and she'll be doing birdhouses out of recycled materials. So that will be taking place this Saturday. Danny Dowdy, who does really large-scale paintings. In fact, the painting behind me is one of Danny's. He'll be painting this Saturday, and we'll have that. The work that he paints that day will go up for silent auction, which will close on August 5th. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 to 5. First Fridays, we're open until 8 o'clock. That's the first Friday of every month when we have music in the courtyard. We also have other events. So, but with this one, it's the artist reception. We have food. It's free and open to the public, so everyone can join us. Same with the first Saturdays. Those days are free and open to the public. Other times, admission is $3 for adults, $2 for children, and we do offer other benefits. So we have like a Blue Star Museum, which is all active duty military with ID, are in free for up to 5 family members. This is, I think, a great opportunity for people to see what everyday people are doing out there that have like inspiration to create art, and it actually takes over their lives and becomes kind of like the power that it becomes their whole being. And so that's what this exhibit has to offer, and I think it's a very colorful exhibition, and I think it really has work that everyone can relate to.
The Beat Goes On shows at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center now through October 14th. Last month, legendary rock band Fish played again at the Portsmouth and Telus Pavilion. Our cameras were there capturing the music and the crowds. Let's take a look. Years ago, Portsmouth was designated as one of the nation's official Coast Guard cities. This is an honor that's been given only to 13 other U.S. cities. Since then, an annual Coast Guard City celebration has been held each summer. These celebrations have featured games, rides, attractions, food and activities for the whole family, as well as contests and special musical concerts. Here are two special guests to tell us more about this year's celebration.
Greetings, I'm Mayor Kenny Wright.
And I'm Captain Lincoln Stroh.
We'd like to invite our citizens of Portsmouth to join us in our official Coast Guard City celebration on August the 2nd through the 4th.
We're celebrating Portsmouth's third year as a Coast Guard city with food, fun, and games for the family, and a free concert here at High Street Landing.
Who makes the best barbecue and slaw in Hampton Roads? Well, you can help us decide. Join us for our third annual Barbecue and Slaw Throwdown with the Coast Guard, Navy, Portsmouth Police, Portsmouth firefighters, and local restaurant teams test their recipes and your taste buds. Our celebrity judges will make their choices and you can make yours. Everyone wins because the food is fabulous and it's all about having fun. Tickets can be purchased in advance at the Portsmouth Visitor Center, Portsmouth Museums, Starboard's Coffee Kiosks, and local restaurants.
For more information, visit coastguardcityportsmouth.com and come on downtown on August 4th to help celebrate the Coast Guard's 222nd birthday.
The Coast Guard Day celebration is one of nearly 50 events taking place in Portsmouth between now and Labor Day. To find out about any of these events, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. I'm Rob Lauer. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Portsmouth Now. We're to close out our show with some footage of the sights and sounds of Op Sale 2012. various fun-filled events taking place in Portsmouth. To find out about any event, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and join us for the next episode of Portsmouth Now.